All right, so we have this equation given. D is the depth in meters, and time in hours. Okay? Where midnight is 0. Okay? What's the range of the function? So you get 1 mark for determining the range in either format. So whether it's interval or, sorry, this is interval, this is set. If you use set notation, you have to use the letter for y that they are using. So in this case, it's D. So that's why I tend to stick with this one. And the max and the min, I just figured it out on the side here. I kind of always do the 4 if I can. Period, mid, max, min, all of that. What does it tell us? Right? It tells us that something along the lines where the lowest depth is 0.21 below the point, and the highest depth is 4.05. Or if you went negative 0.21 meters, that is fine as well. So it's just hovering around those two values all the time. What is the period? So the period itself gets a mark, so that's 11.54. That's just 2 pi divided by b. And what does it mean? Yep. 11.50. I think that's what I noticed when I graphed it, that it was 11.50 from x max to x max. So you are probably right. 2 pi. I got this. Oh yeah, sorry. 2 pi. Yes, okay, my bad. 1150. Thank you. What does it mean? It takes 11.5 hours, right, for the depth to go from the lowest point to the highest and then back down again, right? A full cycle. If you said it takes 11.5 hours to go from a high to another high tide, I would be okay with that, but I need to see the full cycle somehow. Like, what does a full cycle mean in this scenario? If it's a spring that we're going to pull and then release, there's the lowest point, highest point kind of thing. So make sure you have that in there. 2 p.m., that's why the half mark was there. It's 14 hours, otherwise it's 2 in the morning, right? 2 a.m. if you just use 2. So you lose half a mark if you didn't convert. But the depth is 3.73 at that point. And I guess this is all, I'm just, without even mentioning it, when I graphed this, okay, I already did a lot of work ahead of time, and I went to my window and I went 3 times the period, right, to get this in proper order, so I see a bunch of cycles. If you are, some of you had like a really tiny wave like this, so it's just a little tiny wave, is because your y max and your y min are probably a little bit overkill. It's not like it's wrong, but you kind of want to keep them close to these values that you're finding, like the min and the max. That being said, my min, I still always like to see my x-axis. So I make the min always a little bit negative regardless of what happens, even if it's always positive, okay? Keep going. How long is it below 1 meter within 1 cycle? So I just made one of those y's equal to 1. And there's my 1 meter mark. Where is a cycle, folks? Where is a cycle? I just pick anywhere. Like, this is a cycle, that is a cycle, and this repeats itself. So I just focus on, right, this is below 1 meter in 1 cycle. Okay? It's happening right here. So I find the first time, right? For me, it's 7.2059. I don't care if you found this one over here and this one, like, it doesn't matter. Sorry, if you found these two or these two, I don't care. just find a dip and just find the two instances that it goes below 1. And when you subtract them, this is half, this is half, and usually the subtraction is 1. Right? You subtracting is actually going to give you the time. Okay? So in this case, it happens, and remember, when you subtract, you're finding what's happening in between those two times, and in between those two times, you are below. So that's why you just subtract and you get your answer there. If you wanted to find above, you subtract this and this, for example, for instance. Right? What happens between that time and this time? Well, the curve is above it. So that's another way of looking at it. Okay. Next, what does the negative depth mean in this context? That you're below the measuring point. There's a measuring point mentioned, and you are below it. That's what it means. That's the significance of the negative. I didn't graph it yet because I wanted to do this with you, but really what I did, I set it up, right? I do my sinusoidal, and then I have just need to make sure I turn them on. Right, I have all those 3 lines, and you pick anywhere you want to start as close as possible to the y-axis. I chose to start with this one up here. That is my max. But notice I found the y-intercept. So I kind of know where it's going to connect along the y-axis. So when I have my max here, and I have all these other ones plotted, I'm just going to connect it to the y-axis. I found all of those points, and remember, I always go, in this case, 3.51. A scale of 1 here worked just fine. 3.51, 405 is right there. 6.31, this is 6, and it's 192. I should probably do it. I know I'm going to mess up if I don't. I'm just going to make my max and min. Okay, I'm just going to make that up here. 1.92 is right there. And then my lowest is right there. Okay, so I used a scale of 1 here, and also here. I'm going up 1 box is 1. So I go max 6.39. This is 6. 6.39 is right about there. 9.26 is right about there. 12.14, I'm going back to the middle. 15.01, I'm right there. So there you have 1 cycle, and I'm just going to make a mark here at the 119 right there. And the province would be okay with that. Close enough is good enough. That's the saying that I came up with. Because when I ask about it, I'm always very particular, like, let's find every little dot, and they keep on saying, no, if they have a few points there, then we're good. Like, not every single point needs to be graphed, but close enough is good enough. Things that we'll be looking for is label and unit. Label and unit. The scale, like your scale is worth a full mark on the exam. So if you make a tiny mistake on your scale, you will lose a full mark. So make sure you go up consistently by the same amount, no matter what you do. Doesn't matter what number you pick, just be consistent. And then the shape, of course. So if they don't want to see that. They don't want to see that. They want to see a little bit of a curve as you get to the top, right? So scale, labels, shape. And by shape, it means the points are where they're supposed to be. That's how the province looks at it. Okay, so the points are need to be where they're supposed to be. What's the half doing there? It's this. That is my half mark. And then the graph itself is 3 marks, and I take into account these 3 items here. Notice that this doesn't stop. The tide on the ocean will never stop, right? It just keeps going. It could be that it's a scenario where it does stop, and then you have to you can't have an arrowhead, right? If it does stop after like 5 revolutions or something like that. So this page is worth, yeah. Oh, the equation is under labels. And I know you're saying, Mr. Erickson, you forgot your equation. I know. I appreciate that. I'm too busy talking, right? I told you once already, right? I don't get to talk at home. So this is where I come and let out everything I don't get to say at home. Yeah, go ahead. No, I'm just joking. It's all good. 3.5, 4.5, 6.5, 7, 8, 10, 12. So this page is worth 12. Backside. Fun. Right? So we have our universal, the class of 32. 10 are in the basketball team, so make sure the 10 is out here. It's not in. 16 are volleyball team, 2 are doing both. So then once you have the middle, you subtract it to get this. So I would give you 1 mark. No, sorry, 2 marks for the Venn diagram, everything where it's supposed to be. If you have 1 mistake, take off half. No. If you have 1 mistake, take off 1 full mark. And then we'll give you 1 out of 2 if the others are correct. How many are not on either team? It's the 8 students. Those are the outliers. So 8, I just need you to state it here. How would you, what notation do we use for outliers? Number of B or V not, right? Or you could do one of these. Okay, that would be the official way to make a notation. What if I asked you for this? You don't have to copy this, but what does that mean again? Just basketball, not volleyball. So 8, right? What about, what would be this number if I said not B? All the players, all the classmates that are not in basketball. So you go universal minus B. Okay, that's the best way to go about it. So you basically take B away from this, so you're left with 22. So it'd be 32 minus 10, that's 22. Okay, so just a little review here. Thank you.